Okay, so today's Sentinel debate is, does evil exist, and is it in the form of the conventional religious idea of a devil with his demons or not? We're going to be just brainstorming basically, and perhaps opening the debate rather than finishing it or concluding it, and people can leave their own thoughts in the chat room or use our voicemail service, which I'm trying to promote at the moment. I'll give you further details about that at the end, but basically you can find it on the Truth Sentinel channel, YouTube channel. So, for some people, these demons and the devil might be referred to under different names, like the jinn, for example. And some people even think they could have a connection to what people call aliens as well, but that's another topic. So just a reminder, the main title is, does evil exist, and is it in the form of a devil with his demons or not? I mean, some names for the devil would be Diablos or Lucifer. Oh, that's open to question. Beelzebub, Satan, often depicted with horns. Anthony, does the devil exist?
Hello, Scott. How are you?
Oh, yeah, good, thanks. Not bad. I understand that you're feeling a bit under the weather, though.
Yeah, I am a little bit. It's a occupational hazard of teaching. One student gets sick, they pass it around to other students, and eventually the teachers get sick. So
much like the Ebola virus.
Much like the Ebola virus, but yeah, hopefully a little bit more benign. So about the devil, yeah. No, look, my own view is that the devil and demons are metaphors for our own wrongdoings, I guess you could say. You know, for the urges that people sometimes have to do things which we know are going to hurt others. I think that on a psychological level, you could say, if you start talking about the existence of the devil, you're attempting to externalize those dark urges, you know. So in the Middle Ages, you know, there was a lot of this, you know. There wasn't just a person who committed a criminal act, but there was, you know, a person who's been possessed by the devil. And if you can convince yourself that the devil has possessed either you or another person, then you or that other person can act without full responsibility, you know, because you're a puppet, you're being controlled.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously a good argument, but some people would say, well, someone who's possessed by the devil isn't necessarily being controlled, because the concept of evil and the devil and evil spirits is often tied in not by someone who's being totally controlled, but someone who made the choice to get involved in something satanic or get involved with evil. They made the conscious decision to do that, and the result is this perhaps possession.
Yeah, I think there certainly are cases like that. There are areas of occult ritual practice which deliberately court what you might call demonic forces, but even those people are not using the words as literally as you might think. They're certainly not expecting a guy with horns to come up and you know, inspire them to molest children. It's just not. That's not what those people are generally about. Obviously, there are exceptions, but
well, when we say the devil, of course, and possession, we don't necessarily mean that the devil it's that single entity that could be possessing everyone. We'd be talking about the devil and his demons, his little helpers, much like Santa has his helpers, his little elves, you know.
Satan's little helpers, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, these demons are an even grayer area, I think. I mean, if you, for example, take the Shinto faith in Japan, yeah. So followers of Shinto believe in what they call the kami, yeah. And on occasion, that word has been translated into English as demon or devil. But of course, kami are things like nature spirits, ancestral spirits, and so on. So these concepts get very fuzzy, and they don't equate across cultures or within cultures either. But look, in terms of the big guy with horns, I think I think he's been a very useful construct, shall we say, throughout history. There's, as I said, you know, the ability to escape responsibility. There's also the devil, I think, has also been used, just like God has been used, to explain things that we don't understand. So So there was a time, for example, when reading glasses were considered to be a bit suspect because, they smacked of magic, which of course is connected to the devil. But obviously eyeglasses aren't magic. Once we understand how they work, you just need Carl Zeiss, the founder of modern optometry, to sell you a good machine to make you a pair of lenses. No devil required. And that's...
Damn, I actually did think it was magic.
And that's how history has gone in terms of our understanding of the natural world has increased, and our need for supernatural entities has decreased at the same time. It's called the God of the Gaps theory, but you also have a devil of the gaps. And to a certain extent, I think that will always be with us. But it's while that kind of thing it isn't evoked so often nowadays as a way of explaining everyday stuff that we see around us, I think one thing we don't understand very well is the human mind and the motivations that people have for doing things. So I think there's a devil of the gaps there. It's quite dangerous in my view because I think, and this is my big problem with the devil in general, it's very simplistic, it's very reductive, and it really discourages further thought. I mean, we've got some people in the world at the moment doing some truly horrible things to each other, and we really urgently need to try and understand that. If you think of, if you compare this to some of the other kind of simplistic, reductive explanations that have been around in the last 20 years, for example, the "why do they hate us? They hate our freedoms" line that George W. Bush famously pulled out and took around America for a while. Obviously anyone who believes...
Before he started taking away everybody's freedoms.
Yeah, exactly, yes. And I mean, anyone who believes that it's that simple, that Islamist extremists are seeing, women wearing bikinis and people able to vote and so on, and they think, right, that's our reason for, trying to destroy America. Anyone who really believes that, it's totally missing the point. But it is useful for the powers that be to have a certain percentage of the population believe that, because it shuts down critical thinking.
Yeah, indeed. What about people who get involved with occult practices, like people who dabble with Ouija boards and or people who do worship Satan, and some of them would actually testify they've seen things which are supernatural occurring, which just defies normal explanation.
I think they would, and many people who dabble in, or do more than just dabble in, ritual practices would say that they've experienced deep trance, that they've accessed other planes of existence. There, in many cases, I would say they would tell you that that entities have been involved. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that the fact they're saying those things necessarily means that we should, because again.
Sorry, could you repeat that last bit?
Sure, yeah. I don't think that just because these people say that they contact spirit entities, I don't think that means we should necessarily accept that at face value.
But I think some people would say they've not only contacted them, but physical things have happened, like things flying across the room. Those kind of things which can't be explained by normal rational thought.
I agree, but I think we're entering a slightly different area there of spiritualism, which is, really more about the souls of dead people than about the devil, so called.
Well, no, some people would say these are, they're talking to demonic powers as well. Some people might say these are people from the afterlife, but then in some ways that is connected in a way, because if you believe that there is a spirit world, it's not such a leap to believe there could be an evil spirit world.
Well, maybe not, but again, I mean, this area, this kind of satanic ritual area. I mean, there are satanic ritualists in the world. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and there are also several kinds of satanic ritualists, and some of them are attracted to that path for reasons that you could say are quite philosophical, and some of them are not. They really do want to get in touch with the guy with the big horns and like get some evil powers off him, usually so they can use those evil powers on their schoolmates. But what was I saying? Oh yes, the satanic the satanic ritual phenomenon links back to something that I was saying before about shifting responsibility away from yourself or away from somebody who you love. Now there was a spate of reports of satanic ritual abuse in the USA in the 1980s. It was just before a huge spate of reports of alien abductions, interestingly, but there was it was a phenomenon. This satanic ritual abuse phenomenon is how people described it. Mm-hmm. And then there was some serious research. I mean, at first, of course, social workers were just freaking out. They're getting they're ever more commonly hearing about, like little girls saying that, the devil kind of, possessed them or whatever. Yeah. And but when some serious research was done, it was found that media exposure was often the cause, and in actual fact, what was really happening in these cases was these were very tragic cases. I mean, of real sexual abuse and real rape. But the satanic ritual part of it was in, okay, not 100% of cases, but a very, very high number of cases. The satanic ritual part of it was imagined by the victim, and the reason why a victim might imagine that there's satanic ritual going on in their family is because they simply cannot face the horrible truth that their mother or their father is sexually abusing them. And so again, bringing in this other level of my mum or my dad is possessed by the devil, it's the work of Satan, and so on. In a sense, it makes the experience no less traumatic, but it takes at least some of the blame away from the abuser. And so it's a very disturbing phenomenon, but it does not point in the direction of widespread, actual Satanists.
That may be true, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who could say that there's plenty of cases of people who have done some of these ritual child abuse scenarios because they were Satanists. So you can look at that both ways, really.
There are absolutely those cases, and I can't remember the name of the singer.
Ian Watkins.
Thank you very much. I think that was one of his many excursions into depravity. But those are, so the research, at least in the 80s, found, in the 80s and 90s, found that yes, those cases did exist, but they were a tiny percentage. And so what we're really dealing with is very disturbing behavior undertaken by individuals and other individuals not wanting to blame them for their horrible behavior. So yeah, but again, it's not an absolute. We can't say that every case is like that, but it's very often the case.
What about things like, have you ever seen the movie The Exorcist?
I have.
Do you know that was based on real events?
It was a long time ago that I saw the movie, but I think I might have known that, yes.
I mean, I think the boy involved was called Roland Doe. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. And there's been some recent revelations from Tom Leonard, a guy who was actually there, involved with the exorcism of that boy, and he's told exactly what happened. And I mean, I can't detail it all now, but it's pretty shocking, and it involves some physical manifestations of things happening. So rather than just say somebody frothing from the mouth and violently contorting, some really weird, unexplainable phenomena occurred in that particular case. And that's not the only case. There's been exorcists, and I think these people are probably good people to ask about whether the devil exists or whether demon exists, because it's part of their daily work. Yes, if I was going to go and ask someone about something to do with English, I'd go and ask an English teacher. But if I wanted to ask about evidence of the existence of demons or devils, I might go to an exorcist. But they've seen cases of children running up walls. We can only take their word for it or ignore them, but that's what they say. They've seen really impossible situations occur in case of exorcisms.
Yeah, and those reports are really quite fascinating and disturbing at the same time, I think. I don't know that we're going to get to the bottom of those in the course of this discussion, but yeah, when physical phenomena start to occur, I think that then becomes a very different issue.